wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic podcast. My name is Steve. I'm coming to you from my stoa, my humble home just outside of Conway, Arkansas, where I teach biology. But right now I am I'm quarantined, as it were, socially distancing with my family and putting together this podcast this week, and humbled by the outpouring of support by my patrons and those of you who have chosen this week to support the show. It's been amazing. I want to thank Ronald, Gary, Kayleen, and Seth for supporting the podcast. It's humbling and inspiring, and I want to thank you because without your help, this show would not exist. And so stay tuned. Patrons will be doing another book discussion soon if you want to chat about Stoicism with me and with other patrons of the show on Zoom. And I'll get to you with that information very soon. This week's episode is about justice, about community. It's about our roles in the world, about living consistently. It's several Stoic ideas coming together at once, because these are overlapping ideas. And we're going to hear from Marcus Aurelius, we're going to hear from Epictetus, and we're going to hear from Musonius Rufus. And the theme is that we have to use our rationality to understand that we are part of a whole, and we have to live up to that role. We have to live up to our roles as members of a community. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 11, number 21. He that does not always drive at the same end in his life will never be uniform and of a piece in his conduct. But this hint is too short unless you describe the quality that we ought principally to aim at. Now, as people do not agree in the preferences of things that in some way seem good to the many, unless in what relates to the common good, so a man ought to propose the benefit of society and the general interest of the world as his main aim. For he that levels at this mark will keep an even hand, and thus always be consistent with himself. The Discourses of Epictetus, Book 2, Chapter 10, How we may discover the duties of life from names. Consider who you are. In the first place, you are a man, and this is one who has nothing superior to the faculty of the will, but all other things subjected to it. And the faculty itself he possesses unenslaved and free from subjugation. Consider then, from what things you have been separated by reason. You have been separated from wild beasts. You have been separated from domestic animals. Further, you are a citizen of the world, and a part of it, and not one of the subservient parts, but one of the principal parts, for you are capable of comprehending the divine administration, and of considering the connection of things. What, then, does the character of a citizen promise? To hold nothing as profitable to himself, to deliberate about nothing as if he were detached from the community, but to act as the hand or foot would do if they had reason and understood the constitution of nature, for they would never put themselves in motion nor desire anything otherwise than with reference to the whole. The Lectures of Musonius Rufus, number 14. Is marriage a handicap for the pursuit of philosophy? Tell me then, is it fitting for each man to act for himself alone, or to act in the interest of his neighbor also? Not only that there may be homes in the city, but also that the city may not be deserted, and that the common good may be best served. If you say that each one should look out for his own interests alone, you represent man as no different from a wolf, or any other of the wild beasts which are born to live by violence and plunder, sparing nothing from which they may gain some advantage. having no part in a life in common with others, and no part in cooperation with others, no share of any notion of justice. If you will agree that man's nature most closely resembles the bee, which cannot live alone, but bends its energies to the one common task of his fellows, and toils and works together with his neighbors, if this is so, and in addition you recognize that for man evil consists in injustice and cruelty and indifference to a neighbor's trouble, while virtue is brotherly love, and goodness, and justice, and beneficence, and concern for the welfare of one's neighbor, with such ideas, I say, it would be each man's duty to take thought for his own city, and to make of his home a rampart for its protection.
Our genus, Homo, is over 1 million years old. Homo sapiens, our specific species, is most definitely a social group. We have evolved to live together, to depend on one another. Our happiness is dependent upon it. We are told by Musonius Rufus that we are like the bees. We are not lone wolves that live on their own, seeking only to survive, but we are members of a group. We interact, we help, we assist, we receive help. And that is where our nature lies. Epictetus says we are kind of like feet and hands. We are organs of a larger society. And your foot would gladly step in the mud for you if it knew that it was stepping in the mud, because it is serving the greater purpose. Epictetus says that reason is the gift we have from the cosmos, the greatest gift that we have, that lets us see that the good of the community is the greatest good. Our duties as individuals, as whatever our professions may be, as parents, as members of our local community, those roles are smaller than our grand role as member of the cosmopolis, member of the global society, a citizen of the cosmos. And we should live up to those aspirations, those duties, whenever we find conflict in our roles as individuals. So if you have a role as a parent, or as, in my case, let's say a teacher, and it conflicts with a role that would, or it conflicts with a duty that would benefit society at large, always err on society at large. That's the advice, essentially, when you read Epictetus. Your role as human is your greatest role. Marcus Aurelius kind of echoes this idea that we need to live a constant life, a life that's aligned, our actions and our values aligned. And it's easy to not do that, to make excuses for ourselves or equivocations. But he tells us, if we're having trouble, if we are adrift, if we are uncertain where to steer the ship of life, to remember that the good of society should be our ultimate aim. The good of the world should be our ultimate aim in life. So, from the smallest decisions to the big decisions of life, that can be your number one principle when deciding what to do. It will align your values and your actions together. This week, I've been trying to live up to a few of my values. I have missed a day or two of journaling, but I have made more days than I've missed. I've been using a schedule to keep track of what I'm going to do each day, at least during the work day, and that has worked for me pretty well. I have also been reading a bit of Stoicism and trying to be more present with my family. Today, I actually am going to share with you a journal entry because this week I was really thinking about Marcus's comments on serving the good of society, of living a aligned life where your values and your actions are on par with each other. but also trying to figure out where I stand on a number of things. Trying to bring in to this overall, this is entries about me. It doesn't have to apply to you, but it's me trying to take Stoicism. And I find Stoicism to have a pretty strong spiritual component to it, if you choose to see it that way. And I try to draw from that, finding my place in the cosmos, as it were, along with advice on how to live a good life, right? But I'm trying to draw from that, and then also I'm trying to bring in my knowledge of science into it, and try to figure out how all of these things might interact into a whole life. And that's my entry for this week. Those of you who are living up to the values of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and yourself by being out there and doing great work in the world right now in this pandemic we're going through, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can only hope that those of us who are at home right now doing things like making silly podcasts or in my case, lecture videos as well for my students, whatever it is you're doing, I can hope that what we're doing is good for society as well by preventing the spread of this virus. But I'm sure soon we will be back to life, maybe not quite as it used to be, but a fairly normal existence soon. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. Now for my journal entry for today. The cosmos, God, nature, the ultimate, the one, is the source of all, and therefore worthy of reverence and study. From this study, humanity has learned that it is a conscious extension of the cosmos. We are the consequence of, as well as a component of, a web of cause and effect. From the cosmos we briefly emerge, with a sliver of thoughtful independence, and to the cosmos we eventually fully return. Through this cosmic connection, and our own influence on the web of cause and effect, lie our immortality. We are the products of the laws of nature, and as such are eternally bound by these laws. More specifically, we are beings of the earth, related to every other known being, and yet set apart by the refinement of our ability to communicate, investigate, learn, and change. To live well in this world, I need to learn from it. This is the cultivation of wisdom. From this knowledge it is clear that our species survives due to our ability to cooperate. We are social beings. We must live in cooperation. Therefore, justice is my primary aim. To live well, I need to not only share and work with others, but also to control myself if I am to become the best example of humanity that I can. For this, temperance is needed. To be wise, just, and temperate in the face of hedonistic passions and clashing worldviews, courage is needed. If these virtues are pursued and progress is made, then my eternal contribution will be a good one. I will, upon the end of this journey, be worthy to return to the cosmos. Where am I to gain this wisdom? Humanity has been seeking it for centuries. In science, I can learn the most well-supported understanding of the functioning of nature. From philosophy, how best to live as a member of a diverse society and pursue truth, beauty, and wisdom. From religion, the breadth and beauty of humanity's contemplation of its place in the universe, as well as thanksgiving, community, culture, and charity. This pursuit is worthy so far as it does not contradict our best understanding of reality. Contradiction reveals either an incomplete understanding or an incorrect assumption. Belief in that which contradicts the laws of nature is tantamount to idolatry. When in doubt in any of these matters, it is best to hold no opinion. It is my goal to align my life wholly to these principles. Contradictions and wrong paths are inevitable, But with effort, time, and willingness to change and grow, the journey will have been worth the effort. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to the Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe diem.